It's a busy season thinking about college, who's going and who's graduating. Welcome to My State of Mind. I am Dan York. It is a pleasure to have you aboard. Tonight's show, we will forgive the rundown because we've got multiple people that I want you to meet and a conversation about college, which is both broad and unique to a program that has been doing really, in a lot of ways, God's work here in Rhode Island and specifically in Providence. Take a look at this headline. Founder of Providence College visions to be honored at the White House. Well, that was before he went. He already went. So now we can say, how was the White House, Simon? Was it good?
The White House was fantastic. It's an amazing honor to be there, and to be able to celebrate college visions. And we're coming up on our 190th college grad this spring, which is
190th
really great news.
College grad. Simon Moore is the executive director of College Visions, and we've had Simon on before. He has two folks who we're going to meet today. One who's just getting into the college thing, and one who has completed the program and is now helping others pick colleges, which is, talk about a full circle. You must be thrilled with Jen. We'll meet her coming up soon.
Absolutely.
Tell everybody what you're doing and why you're doing it and how long you've been doing it.
It's a good question. So College Visions is a nonprofit that supports low-income, first-generation college-bound students to navigate the college admissions process, get into college. And we cheer a lot when our students get in, because that it really is a big milestone. The majority of our students are first in their family to go. But we also know that our work's not done there, so we continue to work with students to support them through college to succeed. And
do they have to be first generation to be involved in your program?
Students do have to be first-gen students to participate. And part of the reason we do that is that whether or not a student actually goes to college is very much tied to one, parents' level of education, and two, family income. So we specifically target first-generation low-income students. Because we know when you look at just sort of demographics, how demographics play out. Low-income first-gen students are those who are least likely to go on to college. But we also recognize that that's not a statement on their ability to get there and do well there.
No, but we've had a lot of conversation recently, both on the education front and even with the challenges from the Baltimore thing and the race relation conversations that we've been having lately about the playing field. The playing field, whether it's level, whether it's not level. Jim Vincent from the NAACP was here last week talking about how the playing field is not level, and there are too many people in America that just can't agree on whether or not the playing field is level, or whether it should be level, or whether even that's an applicable conversation to whether or not you can succeed. It's a very complicated thing, right? Is the playing field level?
Well,
you're helping to level it, aren't you?
We're helping to level it, and actually, let me tell you a little bit about my own story, because I think this sort of illustrates why we do this.
Right.
So, I had the privilege of growing up in a family where my parents were very supportive. Education was a big point of emphasis for my parents. But also, my parents were both college grads, both went to RISD. My sister and I grew up here in Providence and went to public schools. And we had the benefit of college being part of the family dialogue from when we were probably 10 or 11 years old, maybe even before that. My family was also in a position to be able to pay for us to go to college. And even when we got to college, when I needed books, my parents took care of that. That wasn't a point of stress. Without those privileges, it would have been a much more challenging path to get to school. And yet, when you look at young people in Providence, the vast majority have parents who haven't been to college, are actually new to the U.S. in a lot of cases, and where money is a huge stress point. So when you talk about is the playing field level, even just look at the disparities within Providence Public Schools of the path that I had to college versus the path that a lot of young people were working with.
When did you recognize the differences? Were you noticing it when you were in school? The advantages were you paying, obviously you noticed it, but were you paying attention to it? How did it guide you to say, I want to do something about this?
Yeah, I think absolutely I was paying attention to it while I was in school, and it was something that I was aware of. But I think it really started to hit home when I graduated from college and looked around to folks who I'd grown up with in Providence who hadn't had the opportunity to go, but I think were just as capable as I was and could have gone and done well, but never had the push. And coming out of school, seeing sort of what kinds of job opportunities I had and the access to be able to have a job that I enjoyed and earn a living wage versus folks who hadn't been to college where sometimes it was a struggle to get any job. I think that became very apparent. So in those first couple of years out of college, for me, seeing that I think was a big driver that moved me in the direction of wanting to do this work.
College Visions works how, fundamentally and financially?
So we really make a 5 to 7 year commitment to our students. Students join us in the summer before 12th grade. We provide intensive one-on-one coaching through the college admissions process, helping students with everything from building a college list to completing college applications to filling out financial aid forms. Helping families find affordable college options is a huge part of what we do, and is a point of emphasis really throughout college. And then once our students enter college, we know our work's not done, so we continue to provide one-on-one success coaching. We help families with college affordability and completing the FAFSA. We provide some small scholarships for our students, really throughout, from college enrollment all the way to completion. I think this is a model that we know works. Nearly all of our students who participate enroll in college. Our students earn bachelor's degrees at 5 times the national rate for low-income first-generation students. And I think this starts to illustrate for us when it comes to what needs to happen, why are low-income first-gen students not getting to college, not completing college. I think what we're demonstrating is that this isn't a question of ability for students. This is a question of access to some of the same resources that I had when I was growing up.
And the mentoring environment. Mm-hmm. Yes?
Oh yeah, relationships are a huge part of what we do. Because when you think about it, making a smart college choice, one that's going to support success in college, understands, knowing a student on paper, understanding what their GPA and test scores look like, but also understanding what a student's passionate about, what their family situation is, and we really make the effort to get to know students holistically.
I want to meet a couple of your success stories, but we have a deadline coming up here, correct? For kids to get involved in the 11th grade going into 12th grade?
Exactly. So we're in recruitment mode right now. We're looking for a new class of students. So we're recruiting low-income, first-generation college-bound students in public schools from the Providence area, students who are 11th graders right now. And all of the information for how to apply and eligibility is on our website at collegevisions.org.
All right, so there's so hurry up. Is there an ultimate deadline to create the class?
Applications need to be in by May 30th.
Okay.
So yeah, time to hustle because that's coming soon.
So let's get it on. All right, you're going to meet some success stories when we come back. Stay with us. So continuing with our conversation about College Visions. Do you sell sneakers? I don't. We like to show schools. We have stock video. Oh, there's a hand taking a test or something like that. I always give Jess a hard time over the video that we use to start conversations. Welcome, Wellington. Nice to have you.
Nice to be here
on the broadcast. You are at CCRI, correct?
Yep.
If you just tuned in, you got to go back to the front of the show. Did you record it? You didn't? Well, go to foxprovidence.com and you can hear Simon's discussion of what the program is and how important it is and how these first-generation low-income students, some 190 something now have gone through and gotten their degrees with your help and your work.
And another 300 students on the way this year.
It's fascinating. You are a Cranston East grad, correct?
Correct.
And you're at CCRI. Why?
So pretty much last year, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get accepted to the URI program, talent development over the summer. So of course I had to face reality and bounce back to it. So I applied to CCRI, which I did get accepted to. So pretty much I went throughout the whole year, getting my work done, meeting deadlines, studying for all my tests, passing in all the work I can.
Is that new behavior for you?
Yeah.
You just got messing around in high school, sort of?
Yeah, I didn't take school that seriously. Not getting accepted to URI was pretty much a wake-up call, which I needed. Because even if I got accepted to URI, I felt like I would have failed. So I'm glad that I did not get accepted because it was just a wake-up call for myself.
Now, you are first generation in your family to go to college?
Oh, yeah.
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have one older sister.
Okay. Is it a source of pride for your family to have you pursuing a degree of some kind?
Oh, yeah, definitely. My mother, she actually pursued her degree in nursing in her country, but of course that doesn't transfer to the United States.
Her country is what?
Dominican Republic.
Okay.
So yeah, school was always, her first priority, and she always tried to, get that engraved with my brain. You know, she always
Right.
wanted me to meet
So
that
you didn't get
first.
accepted to URI. All right. Well, you know, things happen, and you are at CCRI, and you help him where now? How does this whole thing? Who right-sized your brain, by the way? Yourself, or does someone kind of make it clear to you?
Pretty much myself, College Visions, well, they gave me a lot of guidance. They pretty much helped me set up short-term goals and my long-term goals, and pretty much just showed me pretty much I had to start working harder to, if I want to make it to the next level, which was making it to URI.
You got to shift it up. So, is this a classic case?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, Wellington's following in the footsteps of a number of students who have come before him, who have started at CCRI and want to make the jump to a bachelor's program. And you know, a pretty essential part of the work that we do with college students is coaching them through the admissions process. Again, when they're working as transfers, to make that jump from CCRI to a bachelor's institution. So, you know, Wellington worked closely with his advisor Emily this year to not only do well at CCRI, but navigate the admissions process.
I don't think it's, by the way, folks may say, oh, CCRI. First of all, CCRI does incredible good work over there. They're challenged with resources, like a lot of college institutions are. Let me tell you something. I don't care if you're first year generation and broke or richer than heck. If you're not figuring out what you're doing yet, I mean, my kid's in school. The number of stories I hear from fellow sophomores, I don't really know what I'm doing yet, but I'm spending mommy and daddy's money or their own hard-earned money, hand over fist, without direction. There's nothing embarrassing about going to CCRI for a couple of years, getting your prereqs done, and then bang, getting into junior, senior year, or right? I mean,
Absolutely. You know, and CCRI is a hugely important institution for Rhode Island. You know, by undergrad enrollment, it's our biggest college in the state. You know, it's very affordable. It has an open admission policy, which means that, you know, anyone who's motivated and wants to try it out has the opportunity to do that. And I think, you know, that is a huge value for.
has it been
for Rhode
tougher for
Island.
you than it was in high school?
CCRI?
Yeah.
Actually, it wasn't that hard because, of course, I picked my classes, so I had a lot more space in the time. I had more gaps, so I had time to actually do my work,
Right.
and I pretty much.
And you got a new attitude.
Yeah, exactly, and I have more motivation now because I have, you know, have a goal to reach by the end of this year, which was to apply to URI and get accepted.
So you didn't get in trouble. There was no trouble. It's just it dawned on you. Hey, wait a second. I got to get my act together.
Yeah.
Well, good. I mean, you know, so you want to do what when you get to the next level? You want to study what?
I want to get into business, and I pretty much want to branch off to like supply chain management. I like the systematic of just, you know, being like the top dog, being the person like calling the shots, running the business, and like pretty
You have
much.
a vision of being a company president.
Yes.
A certain product line.
That's not necessarily. I'll just have to wait until I get to that point in my life to see what's needed in the world, to see, you know, what job needs a person in that position. Until then, I'll just be open to whatever.
Are you optimistic about your employable future?
Yeah, of course. You know, I just have to work. I have to keep working harder, I guess, because there's always competition in the world.
In general, college visions aside, it seems to be getting a little bit better in this economy for college graduates to find employment. The stack of grads during those recession years who were coming out with big bills and no gigs was devastating.
Yeah.
Is it evening out a little bit?
You know, I think we're starting to see prospects look up for our students. And you know, I think even in those tight years, when you look at national data, it still bears out that there's significant value in a college degree in terms of earning power and job opportunities. You know, I think the other thing that's changed, which has been a real benefit in the tight economy, is that there's now the income-based repayment program for federal loans, which allows students to opt into a program where their monthly loan payment is determined by level of income as opposed to just being a flat fee, which you know, takes a little bit of the risk off students and gives them
I
some
think it's
time to
beautiful,
get their feet.
and that's for low, middle, upper income.
Yeah,
I mean,
anyone who
listen,
has
if you got a
federal loans can
loan,
opt in.
it depends on what you're making, not what mommy and daddy's making.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
So, you know, that's a creative idea. So, what's the moral of the story so far for you in College Visions?
Pretty much when I started off, you mean?
Go just in terms of what you're learning about the process and what you'd recommend for other students.
Well, what College Vision showed me was pretty much the financial part of school. At first, I never looked at it as, you know, I looked at school like, oh, you apply, you get in, you're good. I never looked at the, you know, the downbreak of it, like, you need to take out loans, you need to pay for your house and your meal plans, of course, your books. And coming from a low-income family, it gets difficult because, you know, money's not there. Like you said, that's like a gift if you're able to pay for that off. But if you're not, then of course you have to take out loans. And some kids don't understand that you have to pay them loans at the end of, once you graduate school. And some kids just tend to take out loans, but going through college vision, they showed me that you need to pay them loans off. You need to be smart. How many loans you're gonna take out?
Debt's real, man. Debt is real. That's a learning lesson.
It is.
Well, we'll keep track of you. Congratulations on a good decision. Good luck.
Yep.
All right, when we come back, a graduate program who's now advising others on how to go to college. Pretty good. Stay with us. All right, so you got to the end of the month. If you are a college-interested student, lower income, first generation. Define lower income, Simon. What does that mean?
Generally, it means that students are eligible for free or reduced lunch at school.
So that's the definition. So you know who you are through the high school situation.
Exactly.
Meet Jen. You're a College Visions alum.
I am.
Nicely done. You went to Brandeis?
I did go to Brandeis.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
A degree in?
International Studies and Film.
International Studies and Film. But now you're advising
Doing college
students on
access
how to
work.
get to college. Is that a new venture for you, or is this
Yeah.
what? Is this degree actually applying to what you're doing, or will someday, or what's going on with that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I decided after graduating that I needed some time to figure things out, and I reached out to Simon actually in that career search, trying to figure out what I should do while I'm home. And we discussed a few options, and I realized that I would really want to do college access work. So I applied to the College Advising Corps at Brown University, got accepted, and
The College Advising Corps at Brown University.
it's an AmeriCorps program, so you're doing national service for a whole year, and in the end you get an education award as well for doing it. And yeah, so it matched my interests as far as like paying it forward and coming back to my community and doing something meaningful. So I'm doing that now.
You graduated from what high school? What high school did you graduate
Classical
from?
High School,
Classical.
2009.
Okay, and so she was in your program from that 11th grade on,
Yep.
running the format.
Yep.
You helped her figure out Brandeis is where she needed to go. Why Brandeis?
I applied to quite a few schools. We applied to maybe like 8 or 9 schools. And my GPA wasn't the highest actually, so we applied to a lot of lower selective schools. And I got into them, but then realized that the financial aid wasn't there, so they weren't really feasible for me. And then kind of last minute, Simon mentioned an alternative access program called the TYP program, the Transitional Year Program. Now it's called Myra Crafts because they named it after her. But so then last minute we applied, and I found out the month where I had to decide where I was going, and I got the package in the mail, and it had a great award letter, and it just kind of happened. Kind of serendipitous.
So the moral of that story is that without College Visions and without that advice, you would have been swimming. You wouldn't know what you were doing, right?
I didn't really have any other options at that point, because once I actually got all my award letters, I realized I wasn't going anywhere, even though I had acceptances. So I probably would have gone to CCRI, but even without the program, I don't think I would have successfully gone through it.
So now you've come back, you're paying it forward, and you're working at a local high school trying to do for those students what was done for you. How's that experience?
Exactly. It is Twilight Zone. It's very weird. It's interesting. I'm directly in front of Classical, so the differences are very in my face as far as the education I received at Classical and the education that the kids are currently receiving across the street. And that perspective is very, it's rewarding to know and be grateful for what I actually received, because I think it's hard to appreciate what you have when you don't realize the comparison. So I think that perspective has been very valuable for me to now like move on to another venture and have that with me.
What's the difference between Providence Career and Technical Academy and Classical for
There's
you?
many. For one, it's a vocational school, and Classical is a college prep school, so even that, like the access to AP courses, the access to mentoring, after school programs, funding for different projects is very different. And just being immersed in, like the population at PCTA are very, very much lower income, first generation students, whereas at Classical I was kind of immersed with students from all different kinds of class backgrounds and educational backgrounds. So it
Are
was
they any
a lot
less
more
motivated
diverse.
at the Career and Technical Academy?
I think they have a lot less access to mentors, and that can really affect their motivation.
It's such a key, isn't it?
Yeah,
Right? The environment is such a key.
it is.
It is.
If you don't see it, if someone's not showing it to you,
Mm-hmm.
you don't go get it.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the reasons, Jen was actually a trailblazer and was one of our first 2 students to go to Brandeis, but now has opened the door for a lot of students after her. And I think one of the values, part of the value of pointing students towards an institution like Brandeis is that they have an exceptionally strong graduation rate, strong financial aid. And I think part of that is because there's real strong mentorship and resources behind it on campus. So I think that's powerful in high school, but that also continues to be powerful in higher ed, and I think really dictates the extent to which students are successful.
So regardless of the students that you're advising, this is a really pressurized season, isn't it? I mean, my daughter's a sophomore, just finished her sophomore year. I mean, that junior year, trying to figure out what you were doing through the senior, brutal,
Yeah,
right?
a lot of peer pressure too.
Lots of pressure,
Yeah.
lots of conversation. You can never get away from it. It wasn't like that when I went to school. I mean, we all, I went to a nice school. We all went to nice schools. Not good. Most of my buddies are very successful. But I don't remember the kind of grinding,
Yeah.
peer, where are you going? What are you doing? That type of, right?
It's becoming a huge culture now, especially with social media. I think there's a lot more pressure to brag about what you're doing and where you're going. So that's also another interesting thing. People want to tweet about
How do you calm
it.
kids down about it? How do you bring them some grounded reality over the whole thing?
I think for them, what's helpful to hear is alternative options. I think there's a lot more pressure and like tunnel vision when you think that college is the only path. And I think that kids usually calm down when I explain that there are other options, such as like AmeriCorps, such as doing national service or taking a year to figure things out. Like I'm generally the voice of reason where I'm like, hey, you could take a year off, you could take a step back and really figure things out.
And sometimes it's really
you're there.
smart to do that,
Yeah,
right?
it can really make the difference.
Yeah. There's a lot of maturation width between that 16, 17, 18, 19, and not everyone's on the same pace,
Yeah.
right? Or has the same resources.
Absolutely.
Well, she's doing some pretty good advising, don't you think?
No, we're lucky to have Jen back in Providence. It's great to have her here working with young
So,
people.
the international degree, maybe, who knows?
I love traveling, so I definitely will utilize that degree, and I have in the past, so I can always go back.
But right
to it.
now,
Right now, I
you're
need it
being
to be
rewarded by helping.
home. Home's where
That's
it's
good
at.
stuff.
Yeah, and I think this, gets to the power of what we want to accomplish with College Visions too. I mean, supporting students to earn degrees is part of what we want to do. But ultimately, my hope as someone who grew up in Providence and loves the city is that, like Jen, many of our alums will return home, and I think we have a real hand in creating this sort of well-educated new generation of leaders in the city.
Well, there you go. You want to continue the great work, College Visions, or benefit from it? Get your stuff in by the end of the month. That's a week or less. collegevisions.org is the website. Continue congratulations and good work, Simon. Thanks.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Jen.
Thank you.
Very nice. One more word and we come back. Stay with us. Listen, this College Visions program is just one of many things that we need to keep reminding that are good about this community. If you've got an idea that you'd like to see discussed here on My State of Mind, just give us a buzz, 228-1886, or stateofmind@myritv.com is the email. You can tweet and Facebook post and do all of that. In the meantime, we thank you for watching. Don't forget, we're on weekdays noon to 3 on WPRO Radio, and we'll see you back here tomorrow night, 7:30 and 11:30 on MyRiTV.